This is the Doing Scary Things podcast. I'm Katie. I'm a veteran photographer, a serial entrepreneur, an aspiring author, and a relentless optimist. I'm a slow-talking, deep thinker from the Appalachian Mountains.
I'm Anna. I'm a prodigal musician, an accidental psychotherapist, and I'm living life mostly by experiment and endless curiosity. I'm a redheaded speed talker from a Midwestern farm town.
The purpose of this podcast is to talk to people who are doing some pretty scary things in their life about what it takes for them to push past fear and keep themselves going every day.
We'll also unpack the vulnerable things we're pursuing in our own lives and hopefully offer encouragement to you wherever you are on your journey.
Man, that was brilliant.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Doing Scary Things podcast. Today, Anna and I are super excited to be releasing our fourth song under the band name Jasper and Jade. It's a song called Daydream Masterpiece, and we're going to talk all about it. We hope you enjoy.
We're releasing our fourth single, which is kind of exciting. We're just rocking along on the releasing singles train, and it's been a blast.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
It's crazy that it's number 4.
Yeah, I know. It's really fun, though. I mean, I don't know if it would be as fun if we didn't have a podcast and a community to, like, share it with in this way, but I think it's really fun to just be able to sort of give them each the time of day and enjoy them fully, you know?
Totally. Well, sadly, in this day and age, that's something that doesn't always happen. People kind of listen to, like, 5 seconds of a song and then skip to the next one. When we were recording, we were like, okay, we love all these songs.
Yeah.
Let's, like, at least hopefully people will listen to all of them. And
totally.
'cause they're all really pretty different.
They are. And yeah, this one especially is really fun. And I'm glad it didn't just get swept under the rug in, like, an album, quote unquote, because I think that happens. I don't know, like, obviously the music industry has changed a lot, and it very much used to be like, here's some, amazing smashing singles, and that's what you can expect when you buy the full album. Like, the rest of the album's kind of like this. And I'm really glad that's not the paradigm anymore, because our music definitely doesn't fit into that anyway, because they are all so different. So there is no, like, oh, this is what you can expect from the rest of the songs that you haven't heard.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think the people who are now shifting and they're only doing singles, it's still that single mindset of this has to be the most polished and the most exciting and, all of those things. And so with this, it's like, well, we're maybe a little weird. I don't know, but this one's weird and we love it. And anyway, thanks for being weird with us, guys. That's all I'm trying to say.
We're just flying our flags.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Lots of flags.
All of our weird flags.
And we did delay the release of this song just a little.
Yes.
Mostly because of our distributor.
Yeah.
But basically what happened was John Packer, who you sort of know and live with.
I hope I know him.
He is our amazing graphic designer and has done all the artwork. And he... specifically for this song, I feel like, I don't know if you agree, I loved it.
Yeah.
This was like next level for me.
Nailed it.
I feel like I had no preconceptions of what this art was going to be. We didn't really have a lot of ideas. We had kind of used those up already a little bit.
Yeah.
So we had no idea what he would be sending us, and he just really knocked it out of the park. It's like one of those pieces of art that has a lot of meaning, maybe hidden meaning, maybe not, but we just loved it. And so then there was a problem with it with the distributor that delayed us just a little, but we decided we would wait and wait as long as we needed to be able to use this art, because it's really cool.
Yeah. I feel like the artwork and the song belong together.
Yeah.
And we needed to figure out how to have our cake and eat it too, because that's how it should be.
Totally.
So thanks, John.
Thanks,
Appreciate
John.
you.
Yes. No thanks to the distributor, although we got it worked out.
Yeah.
Go check out the artwork if you haven't seen it already. It is a mannequin.
Yes.
And we loved how that represented the idea of a daydream, because neither are real.
Right. They're trying to look real. They're really trying their darndest to simulate real.
Yep.
But you can still kind of tell.
Sometimes.
Hopefully, eventually. So the song is called Daydream Masterpiece. And
should we play it?
Yeah, here it is. We'll just play it for you right now, and then we'll pick up our conversation.
Fingers intertwining, I hear my heartbeat pound, my anxious mind exploding. I know this isn't good from demonstrated history, but why should logic count? Why can't we end up happy? What if we were only meant to be a daydream masterpiece? We were too good to be true. The way constructed you, say that we're the same. I guess that leaves myself to blame, 'cause I look at you for truth, and I don't even know you. And here we are again, my reckless mind replacing truth with my memory, as if I have learned nothing. I'll breathe you in again and feel your arms around me, to think that you could stay a timeless, hopeless journey. What if we were only meant to be a daydream masterpiece? We were too good to be true. The way I constructed you, we say that we're the same. I guess that leaves myself to blame, 'cause I look at you for truth, and I don't even know you. It's a far-fetched fantasy. You're a haunting melody. Maybe we were only meant to be a daydream masterpiece. We were too good to be true. The way I constructed you, we say that we're the same. I guess that leaves myself to blame, 'cause I look at you for truth, and I don't even know you. I don't even know you.
So I want to ask you about this song, because this song, you know, like we've said, it's different than the other songs. All the songs are kind of different from each other, but the process of this song was so different from the other ones that we decided to record for this project. So I want to ask you how this song came about.
Great question.
Thanks.
No, it was very different and very unexpected, and I'm sure a lot of songwriters can relate to that. A lot of the songs that we write, you know, maybe one of us has started it, usually it's you that has kind of started something, and then when we get together, we'll work on it and we'll, you know, finesse it, or sometimes we start them together. But this one was a little different. I wrote this January of last year, and my husband had gotten me a guitar for Christmas. I think this was like a couple weeks later, something crazy.
Yeah, it was. It was like January, I think.
Yeah. And so needless to say, it was the first song that I had actually written on the guitar, which was interesting for me and just really exciting because, I mean, that's a question we get asked a lot is like, do you guys write from instruments? Do you not? And it is, you know, a little different every time, but this was the first time that I actually just kind of sat down, figured out the chords, and it just came together really quickly in that way. The chorus did. And so I immediately was pretty excited about that and sent it to you. And then we ended up working on some verse ideas together. We can talk about that later. That was a hilarious day.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going home, and then really quickly the verses came again. And so, yeah, all in all, it was just a very fast process. And then, interestingly enough, it was maybe like a week later.
Yeah.
And we were recording it.
Yeah.
And so that was crazy because all the other songs, I mean, we had worked on some of them for years, you know, and so we had thought about them and finessed them. And, And then, and, you know, really familiar with them going into the studio.
Totally.
And then this one, it was just like, well, we like it and it's new and let's record it. And so that was just a totally different process.
I know. I remember it feeling exciting, but we were like, concerned, like, are we being reckless? Is this song, are we gonna hate this song in 2 weeks and regret everything?
Totally.
But, you know, I think we just kept going back to it and, you know, trying to live in it as much as we could before the recording. And we, at some point, we just decided, like, well, we're just gonna do it. And if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. But it doesn't seem like it is.
Yeah.
We're hoping it's not. So, yeah, you're right. Like, usually we had spent so much more time, just time, you know, with each song. And we didn't have that luxury with this one. And I can't exactly remember why. I think yes, I do. We had another song in the lineup. And when this one came about, it was like, oh, this one kicks that one out of the lineup, kind of.
Which was the other one?
I think it was Run.
Oh, yeah. We're still working on it.
Yeah, it's gonna, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's
funny just not ready yet, still.
It's not. And like we really feel strongly for each of our songs that we want them to be like to meet their full potential.
Yeah.
And that one was just not coming together the way we thought it would and still isn't. But we believe that it's going to happen in the future. So that's good.
Yeah.
But that was even like a mini theme with this song because of writing the verses. You know, it was like we're just toiling to try to get the right verses. Mm-hmm. And I think once that sort of came together,
it was like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, it was like, all right, this one is, ready to meet its full potential way more than the other one was in such a short period of time. So there's a true element of inspiration, I think.
For sure.
With a lot of this song.
Yeah, so I had started writing the chorus. It was just one of those moments. I was really frustrated with a friend of mine, and the lyrics just kind of came out of that. And then I brought them to you, and I didn't really tell you what it was about, and I just shared that with you. And can you tell us a little bit about what we tried as far as writing the verses? Because it was pretty hilarious.
It was hilarious. So we were trying to, best I can recall, we were trying to make it immersive, kind of, because we're talking about this idea, you know, in the chorus of a daydream. And so we're trying to like immerse ourselves and kind of the listener into the daydream. So we were trying to come up with things that revolved around our five senses. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to put together an experience that was all based on the five senses. Our brainstorm of that was like really funny.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a great idea. That was your idea to do the five senses. And so we were like, okay, touch. How can we describe what it feels like to touch someone?
Yeah.
And so we literally held hands. Because we were just, I don't know, we were just like, okay, how can we describe this? What are you thinking about when you hold someone's hand? And, you know, so we did make the decision pretty early on. The chorus obviously was not written about a love interest, but we decided to sort of make the verses feel that way because we thought it would be maybe more relatable or easier to explain, if nothing else. That feeling of like holding hands for the first time and like remembering that. That's kind of where we went. And then what were some of the other things?
Oh my gosh. Our Gestalt experiment ourselves of holding hands was as far as we went with the five senses. Like, I don't remember us smelling each other or licking each other or anything like that. But
no.
Definitely
but I
not.
think, I would have to look at the lyrics. I thought we worked in a few different references like that.
Well, I think we did. There are so many ways you could describe how much you are fantasizing about someone or how much you love them or whatever, but it's like those little micro facets of the physical experience of it, the immersive parts of it that we were trying to get. And so that's where like something like our fingers intertwining comes in. That's like beyond just holding hands.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, the warmth of your skin or whatever, like cliche stuff. Yeah. I know we were trying to be really like realistic and immersive about it, but not just go to the same like cliches about
Yeah.
about relationship that a lot of songs go to, you know?
Yeah. And something that would take you there immediately in your mind. And the other idea that we kind of went back and forth on, even in the studio, was, is this really a dream? Did it really happen? Like, we kind of were flipping back and forth.
Right.
Even on, like, what we wanted the listener to
come away with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, what's the verdict here?
Yeah.
And I think it's still a little mysterious.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Even with all these spoilers.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so that was fun. The other thing we kind of spent a lot of time trying to figure out was, I think we both just really liked the idea of starting the verses with the word and.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it a lot. And I think we just decided, you know what? This makes it feel like you're right there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, go back to a memory from 10 years ago, or, you know, you just woke from a dream. Like, with starting with the word and, we just wanted it to, you know, be perceived as like,
right.
Oh yeah, I'm right there.
It's like the immediacy. Like,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had made that decision. And then this, I thought, was so funny because, and we can't remember, I don't know if we'd already recorded it or not, but you sent me a podcast link to listen to. You didn't tell me anything about it. You just said, listen to this. I think you'll really like it. And so I'm listening, and then I get to the part, and it's with a songwriter.
Yeah.
Do you remember her name?
Yeah, Carol Bayer Sager. She was on an Oprah Super Soul Conversation episode talking about her songwriting, and she's like a prolific songwriter.
Yeah, so she's just talking about her experience, and she just randomly mentions how smart it is, to start verses and choruses with the word and the emotion that brings on. And I just immediately texted Anna, and I was like, we are geniuses.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the moment we knew we were actual geniuses.
So, if you get nothing else from this episode,
yeah,
I'm just kidding. We appreciate you guys so much. I hope that you like these episodes because they're really fun for us to make.
Also, we appreciate you, Carol Bayer Sager, because what an incredible female songwriter in history. She's seriously incredible. Go look her up.
Yes. So anyway, that was just a fun little tidbit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the writing process, very fast. And then we took it to Josiah. He agreed. I think the deciding factor was that he could hear some similarities with this other songs we'd already recorded. We're actually releasing these in the order we recorded them, which is kind of fun.
Right.
So the ones you've heard so far, you know, we already had. And while, of course, this one's different, it has a life of its own, he agreed that, like, it had a similar vibe and thought it would be fun. So
yeah, there's a place for it to belong. And we just had a lot of fun recording this too. It does have such a fun vibe, and it's on the more like poppy side, I feel like, and it was a blast.
It was. I'll say I was in a little bit of a weird headspace, and I think while we were in the studio, I think a lot of that was because it was so new, and I don't really make decisions that way usually. I really like to sit with things and make sure it feels right and the timing feels right. And so I think, honestly, I just hadn't had a lot of time. Dan had not heard it.
Yeah.
And so some of these words, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I need to make sure he's okay with, you know, which, not to sound like this super like clingy, submissive wife or anything. Like, you know, we're super independent and he's super like not jealous at all. But, you know, it's just like, I wanted it to be okay with him, you know? I mean, that's important to me. So when we did record it and I came home and shared it, he loved it. And he kind of laughed at the last line. And so that was good. But having not had that conversation before, it was a little bit of a weird headspace for me.
This song is like the perfect example too of how the original kind of inspiration for it was a situation with a platonic friend. Like it wasn't a romance of any kind.
Yeah.
And we decided to kind of write it that way so we could fully express the concept as best as possible. But I guess it's a little bit of a cautionary tale to everyone. Like, don't take every song literally and assume anything about the songwriter or their life because you never know how many permutations it's gone through to be the best possible song that actually explores something. It's not like a literal, like a literal story. a lot of the time. But it reminds me of how often we would go in the studio and be like, Josiah, we promise we have happy marriages and this is not like some angsty like secret thing. It's all good. And, you know, I'm sure he was like, yeah, I know how songwriting goes. It's fine. But it was just funny because we always felt a little squeamy about that.
Like we needed to explain ourselves. And honestly, probably I feel that way sharing it with the world.
Sure.
You know? But yeah, I appreciated from both of you that you didn't really ask questions. You weren't like, wait, what is this about?
Yeah.
You just took it for what it was. So yeah, I did appreciate that.
Well, and I think part of why we can is because, you know, what is this song about? It is so relatable. It's like, wow, I thought this relationship or whatever would go a certain way and then it would be like so great and I had high hopes and expectations for it. Maybe there was no chance of it ever being that. Like maybe I was
making it too much, you know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. Even just that feeling of like thinking you know somebody and then realizing that they were probably never the way that you had kind of dreamed them up in your head. And maybe it's not their fault.
Right.
You know, maybe you were just putting like unrealistic expectations on them, but it's just that whole thing of trying to figure that out, you know, like it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, you know?
Yeah. Well, and being able to admit that or acknowledge that, that's what's something that strikes me about this song. It feels very courageous and gutsy, like content-wise, because it is hard to admit that. You know, I think a lot of people just try to keep forcing it into a box it doesn't fit into. And it's too much of a loss to cut, you know? But really, in the way that it's presented in the song, it is like you're sort of coming to terms and cutting your losses and going, you know what? Like maybe I need to move on, basically.
Yeah. I think the biggest struggle to me, and maybe this was part of the struggle I was having internally in the studio, figuring out how angry to make the song.
Yeah.
Versus just fun. Because I felt like it could go either way. And it was somewhere there in the middle. And the emotions were definitely those that could be very angry. Like this could be a very angry breakup song. This could be a very angry, just like, you screwed me over song.
Right.
You let me down. So all of those emotions were there. And I felt like it was just this constant, like, how should I sing this song? Also, it was the second song that I had sung lead on. And so that was, you know, nerve-wracking and just learning a ton in a short amount of time. Didn't even really know the lyrics because I had just written them. And, you know, it's all of that. But it's also, and Josiah, we've mentioned, is a great vocal coach and had great ideas. He helped us bring the bridge to life. I think that was actually his entire idea.
Yeah, the way it turned out was so cool. And I think we went into it like it was the most open-ended part still, but we knew, like we'd already worked with him enough to know like, okay, we're going to figure this out. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so he really helped a lot with just figuring out the tone. And I think, you know, like we said before, it ended up somewhere in the middle. It's sort of open to interpretation. And I do think it's fun, which I'm proud of.
And I love that. I think that you would naturally have that almost like a toggle back and forth between the angry feelings of the present situation and the sort of blissful experience of the daydream that you are struggling to let go of.
Yeah.
In my opinion, both of those things come across.
I realized pretty early in to the recording process that the way I had written it reminded me a lot of an artist that I really like and respect. And I'm not naming that artist on purpose because we did have an experience where we learned early on, once you kind of label your music in a certain way, that's all people will sort of hear it as or see it as. And we don't want to put labels on it. So I'm not going to say that name. If anybody wants to guess, feel free and
submit your guess.
Send me your best guesses. So that was another thing while I was singing it. I was like, do I want to go full on and just totally
channel
sing it the way they would sing it?
Right.
Or do we want to like add our own personality and flavor to it? Which we did. We did not go as far as we could down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but I think that was our most salient experience so far of not sort of pigeonholing ourselves when we talk to people about our music. And for me, that's a really hard area because it's like, on one hand, you don't want to create a bias for the listeners going in. Like, well, this is this is who else we sound like, or we're just like whatever, or this song is just like this other song or this other artist. But at the same time, of course, we all have musical influences. And guess what? You're constantly being asked, what's your genre? And like, that question's really hard.
It is really hard. Again, going back to people's attention spans, and it's nobody's fault, and I'm not judging anyone. I do it too, but it's like, okay, tell me in 5 seconds who you are. Tell me, tell me what your music sounds like. Well, just go listen to it. I have no idea. I don't want to explain it to you in a certain way because you may not have that reference. You may not have that same love and respect for a person that I do. And so if I say it, you may be totally turned off. But you would still like it. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. You have to like stay right in the middle of the lane, or you're going to be putting yourself in categories you don't belong in, or you're going to be pigeonholing yourself into too small of categories. And
genres are just so vague to begin with. Like, is it rock? Is it pop? Like, yes, it's both, and it's just all of it. And what even is music?
Yes. And then you also must be so unique and develop your own sound. That's it's such a paradox constantly.
It's hard.
Yeah. Oh, I really appreciated on this song getting to throw in some fun flavorings like yelling certain words and stuff. I love doing that.
Certain words. Well, there again, that was like the flirting with anger thing that I was talking about, because my voice just doesn't really sound angry even when I'm like really pissed. Can I say pissed on our podcast?
Are you super pissed right now?
It just doesn't sound angry. So with me singing lead, I was like, okay, we gotta get something in there that's gonna back this up a little. So that was great.
I know we like sing Josiah's praises all the time, but he has such fun ideas for stuff like that. And I think he taught us a lot about how to, like, it opened us up to generating our own similar fun ideas that are just a little bit out of the box and a little bit extra. And it adds so much to the song. Like, I love that.
I think so too. And, it's something we talked about long before we ever went into a studio, and we're still talking about it because we want to keep developing this idea, but we do want to think about how to incorporate both of our vocals in interesting ways. And, we're not just doing like the same harmonies on every song. We're not just, one person singing lead, one person singing backup. Like we really wanted to be creative with that. Yeah. And, in a couple of the songs, it is sort of that almost like voice of reason in the background, or like, this is how I really feel, so there's a little bit more to it than just the pretty polished, here's a background vocal, Yeah. And I do like it.
Totally. I like that too. And I honestly don't remember if we've talked about this before with other song episodes, but either way, it bears mentioning again that it's a different approach to everything when you're approaching it as a duo. Like, everything has to be different, a little bit different than it normally would be. And there's just not a lot of like models for that out there, so in a way that's really cool because it's just our playground and we figure it out. But in a lot of ways, it's just a constant challenge because everything is kind of set up for not duos. So then we're trying to figure out, well, what's a cool way that we could do this as a duo? Yeah, this is going to be a challenge because it's not usually immediately obvious how to make it work really well.
Yeah. And, we want it to be unique to each song. We want it to be true to each song.
Right.
So, it is a little bit of out of the box thinking there. But, I loved those yells for sure.
Yes. One thing I was reminded of from the studio working on this song, like a lot of it, I mean, this song really did super come together in the studio, like all of our songs, but this one especially probably just because it felt so new. And again, I think it was kind of hard for us both to have a strong opinion about certain decisions because we were like, I don't know, it's just brand new. Like, we don't know yet. But one thing was like the length of the song. I remember us having conversations about that to make sure that structurally and like the format of it was exactly right for the song.
Yeah, it's the shortest song that we did. And we were just like, do we want to make it longer? Do we need to make it longer? I remember Josiah asking me that, like, do you want to make it longer? And I was just thinking, you know what? I think it's what it is. It's short and sweet. And this is kind of how it came together. And it just, I guess to me, it just kind of goes with that theme of like, I'm just going to say it and be done. And
yeah. It's a good example of when that was a decision that was kind of just our prerogative, and we could have gone like, yeah, you know, let's double the bridge, or like, let's write another verse or something. But we realized like right in the moment, it was like, that would just be lengthening it for the sake of lengthening it.
Yeah.
And that's not going to serve the song well. So let's not do it.
Yeah, totally. And Josiah being the guitar hero, if I may, he is. He added the intro, which was really fun. Really like it. It's very different than the rest of the song.
I love it though.
I love it.
What it always makes me think of is just if the music video for this song where it's like, that's the like dream sequence minute where you're like getting right into the daydream, you know? It's like where you're drifting off in your mind. That's the
like
sound
Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
Like the dream.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Like in a high school,
You're
sitting
right.
at your desk with your chin on your fist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's what it always makes me
You're
think
wishing
of.
your friends would just be honest. But I digress.
Listen, if you're a friend of the show or of any person,
Of Katie.
of Katie especially, no, but seriously, if you're a friend, honesty is hard to do sometimes, but
Be yourself.
it really is the best policy.
We don't want anyone out there faking who they are.
No.
That was the lesson that this person taught me. And yeah, so it didn't work out,
That's right.
but
Don't be
here we are.
who you think I want you to be, because that's based on your assumption about me.
Yep.
Just be yourself, because I want you to be yourself.
Yep.
That's the truth. If anybody needs to hear that, here it is.
We hope you've enjoyed our rambling. It was a really fun song. It was a quick song. We recorded it really quick, but it is really meaningful to me, and I am very proud of it.
Yeah.
Thanks for yelling on it.
I will also say it's really catchy. It gets stuck in my head all the time.
Yeah, so everyone should probably stream it like 1,000,000 times a day.
Yeah, we wouldn't be mad.
Share it with a friend.
Mm-hmm. Passive aggressively share it with a friend who's not being honest with you.
Anybody who has wronged you, you can use my words. You're welcome. Yeah, you want to play it
I
again?
love it. Yes. All right, guys. So here it is, our brand new single, Daydream Masterpiece.
And we are holding hands, our fingers intertwining. I hear my heartbeat pound, my anxious mind exploding. I know this isn't good from demonstrated history, but why should logic count? Why can't we end up happy? What if we were only meant to be a daydream masterpiece? We were too good to be true. The way I constructed you, you say that we're the same. I guess that leaves myself to blame, 'cause I look at you for truth, and I don't even know you.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like what you've heard, take a second to subscribe or share it with a friend. There's plenty more information in our show notes, including a link to where you can listen to our music on Spotify. See you next week.
I don't even know if we should put this in, but
Oh, I didn't turn that one off.
Hey guys.
Hey, we're still here.